Hey everyone, Nicholas Kuzmich here, and in this video what I want to show you how to do is how to create ads in the Facebook Power Editor. So as you can see here, I'm in my Facebook homepage here, and to navigate to your Power Editor from home, all you got to do is click on Ads Manager. Then you'll see this is a test account that I have here, but we're in our ads account. And then once we're in our ads account, you can click over here on the left saying Power Editor. Now, once you click on the Power Editor, it's absolutely important for you to know that every time you do log into the Power Editor, that once you selected your ad account, well, in this case I got a few, but we picked the ad account, we click download. So it's always important that when you walk into an account that you're always downloading first to bring everything into the Power Editor account. So what we're going to do today is take the ad copy that we worked on earlier in this module, and you should probably have a Word doc that looks something like this, which is all the text that you've applied from this worksheet here, where we talked about the anatomy of a perfect ad. So in that worksheet, you'll see the anatomy of a perfect ad, which is an example ad that I've shown here. And then just below it in that document, you'll have kind of an empty worksheet that you can use to go ahead and fill in the blanks here, so we can have a few runs at your ad. Now, I would suggest that you print this out and have 2 or 3 or 4 variations of this until you're happy with one, and then we can go ahead into the Power Editor and I'll show you how to do just that. So again, we're taking this worksheet here of the anatomy of perfect ad. We're going to have a couple of samples that we're going to be working with that you probably have here as a Word document, and then from that Word document, we are then going to put them into the actual Facebook editor or the Facebook Power Editor to create an ad. Now, in order to do this, what you will see here is we always want to start with campaigns on the left side, and the little plus button allows us to create a new campaign. So let's just go ahead and do that here. And remember, for the sake of most of what we are doing, we are trying to generate leads. And so we always want to make sure that our option here is website conversion. So under objective, we're going to click website conversions. Under bidding type, we're going to select auction, and then we're going to enter a campaign name. So in this case, let's just say TRS. So for the example, I'm going to be using Tribal Retention System, the TRS, and I'm just going to say example. You probably wouldn't call it that, but you can name it whatever naming convention that makes it easy for you to realize or to remember there. So we've created it now, and as you can see, we have just the TRS example here. The next thing we want to do is click over to the top here into ad set. So keep in mind, every time you're creating a new campaign, you have campaigns, you have ad sets, and then you have ads. Now, my general rule of thumb is that under campaigns, campaign is kind of like the biggest bucket that contains all the ads that you're running for any particular campaign. So in this case, this would be the lead generation campaign, and this would be our major big bucket. And then when we head over to ads or ad sets, we just want to keep in mind that every ad set should only have one ad in it. So you can see this as the biggest bucket, a smaller bucket that sits within campaign. So ad sets sit within campaigns, and then ads sit within ad set. So in this case, we're just going to do one sample just for the sake of this example. So we're under ad sets, and I'm going to click the plus button again to create a new ad set. And how we're going to say, yep, use this campaign here. So use existing campaign, which is the TRS example, and we're going to name it. Now, the naming convention I always like to use is always start with copy. So the wording that we're using in the ad, then the target we're focusing on, and then the image that we're focusing on. So in this specific example, we'll just call it the offer copy. The target, let's just say CrossFit for the sake of this example, and then the image, let's say hanging, and I'll show you what all that means when we do it. Now, whenever we're running an ad set specifically for generating leads or conversions, we always have to use an existing pixel or create a pixel. Now, in this case, let's say this is the first time you're doing it, we're going to go ahead and say create a pixel. We're going to choose the category. So in this case, I'm just going to call it leads, and then we're going to name it, and we'll just call it TRS leads. So we're going to go ahead and say create pixel. It's unverified because we haven't actually placed it or used it yet, but we'll save that for another video. So once we've selected the campaign that we're using, we've now named the ad set based on the naming conventions that I like to use, which is copy, target that we're focusing on, and the image or some sort of a name that represents the image. We're going to go ahead and click create. Now, here's where we get into some nitty gritty. With regards to budget per day, I typically always like to start a test at $20 a day. Now you can go higher or lower, but that's just kind of what I like to do. So you can mimic that if you desire. Schedule start date. It always by default will select your current date and your current time. So I typically leave that. Now if you have an end date on this, you can click end and select the actual date that you want this campaign to end. But in general, I typically say don't schedule an end date, run this as ongoing. And then should you want to get even more specific with this, which I wouldn't suggest at this point, you can actually do ad scheduling, so you can select and run ads on a particular time should you want to. But again, we're not going to do that for the sake of this example. Then we have our audience. Now here's where we're actually going to select the target audience that we are focusing on. So for the most part, you're going to ignore save target group. That's kind of more advanced stuff. Custom audience is more advanced stuff. Locations is obviously something you want to select. So in this case, for the sake of this example, let's just say United States. Now, if you have an age bracket that you're specifically focusing on, you could select that. For the sake of this example, I'm just going to leave this as is. Again, you have all or men or women in terms of gender. Now, for the sake of this example, again, I'm going to leave all, but if you're focusing on just men or just women, you can choose that accordingly. There's some more demographics that you can choose here, none of which are relevant to you at this point in the game anyways, so I'll ignore that. Connections are if you want to connect it with your actual page or not, which at this point we don't. Languages, we can just say English all to be safe. And here's where you're going to enter the interest that you're focusing on. Now again, for this example, we said CrossFit. So I'm going to click on CrossFit, and there we go. It's going to tell me we have an estimated potential reach of 12 million, which is quite big. Again, we can make that smaller by narrowing some of this down. But again, for the sake of this example, we'll just leave it at that. So we'll click save. That will take care of the audience that we're focusing on. Now, here's where we want to see the placement. Do we want it to go to mobile newsfeed, desktop newsfeed, right side column, or audience network? For the sake of the initial test, I usually like to only run newsfeed ads. And depending on who we're focusing on, sometimes I'll run them separately. So sometimes it'll be mobile only, or sometimes it'll be desktop only. Again, for the sake of this example, we're just going to keep both clicked as both newsfeed ads, and we're going to remove right-hand column and audience network. Again, we're optimizing for website conversions, which essentially means that we're attempting to collect leads with this ad. So you just want to double check, make sure you have everything in place. And once it is, that's the end of the ad set section. We're then going to click over to ads, which are in this particular bucket. Now again, if this is the first ad that we're doing in this bucket, we're going to hit the plus sign, which is create a new ad. It's going to ask us to confirm what campaign we want this in, so that would be TRS example. Then it's going to say choose an ad set for this ad. We've already selected that. Now what I like to do for the ad set name, or sorry, the ad name, is actually select the same name as the ad set. So I just copied that there. I've pasted it down here, and we're going to use that as the name for the ad itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. And here's where we have to get into some nitty-gritty as well. So every ad has to come from a Facebook page. In this case, you should probably only have one page in here. As you can see, I have more than one because we're working with multiple clients and doing a couple of things. But if you're in there, you should only have one. And for the sake of this example, let's just pick, because we're running just a test, I'm going to say growth strategies. All right. So the next thing it's going to ask for, we are going to run a single image and a link in one ad. The first thing it's going to ask for is our website URL. So where, when someone clicks on this ad, are they going to go? Now remember, we have our cheat sheet here, which is our anatomy of a perfect ad template. And we would have selected a couple of items here. And I also have the Word document and how I filled that in. So this here will be, and we're using the example that I've shown you in the ad builder, this would be the URL. So I'm just going to copy and paste that, go back and say that is the URL we're going to. So that's just going to go ahead and begin to populate this side here, which is a preview of the ad. Then it's going to say display URL. What is the display URL we're going to show here? So I'm going to go back to my Word document and say the call to action here is going to be my display URL. So I'm going to Control-C that or copy it. I'm going to go back to the ad setup here and say display URL is click here to download your free copy, and you'll see that that will populate there. Then it's going to ask you for the text. Now the text is everything that appears above the actual image here. So it's going to say text. Again, we're going to go back to the Word document and select the text that we have dedicated just for that. So I'm going to go ahead again and copy that and click paste here. And then you will see that populate up here. So far, so good. Then it's going to ask for the headline. That's the big bold letters that comes right below the image. So back to the Word document where we've created this, and I've already typed out my headline. So I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go back over to the ad builder and say paste. And we should see that populate right there. Very good. And then newsfeed link description. So in this case, this is what appears below the headline and just above the call to action there, or the display URL. So I'm going to go back to my Word document. I'm going to select the wording there. I'm going to bring it back to the newsfeed description or newsfeed link description and paste it, and we should see that populate perfectly there. So far so good. We have basically the outline of our ad here. The only other thing we need to do at this point is select an image. So I mean, I have some images pre-populated here. You probably wouldn't if this is your first time putting this up. So in this case, we'd say upload an image. Now I have all my images kind of in a folder, as you can see here. So you can literally take one and we can just basically drag and drop. So let's see if we can find an image. Whoops. We'll see if we can find an image here. We'll take jump, let's say, and we'll drag it right there and let it go. And you'll see it'll auto upload. So it's just telling you that it's uploading there. There it is with the blue check mark, meaning that's the one it selected. We hit OK, and we'll see that the image will populate there, right there for us. So this is now kind of an overview of the ad that we're looking at. One other option you have is the button option. Now, for the most part, if we're offering some sort of a downloadable cheat sheet or PDF, I do like to use the download button. So we're going to head and click the download button there, and you can see it appears right there. And there we have it. There's our ad, right? So it's going to tell us what page it's coming from. It's going to give us the text that we've copied and pasted, the image that we've selected, the headline, some supporting copy here, the URL, or in other case, the call to action copy, and the download button. And we are good to go here. You just want to confirm that conversion pixel that we're testing out here will be TRS leads. Again, TRS leads is the pixel that we chose to use for this particular ad. This is not verified yet. I'll show you in another video how to do that. But there you go. That's how you take the text that you have, that you've probably created from earlier in this module, based on the templates here of how to create that ad. So we have this template. Here's a sample. Here's a template. You have a couple of versions of these. You've turned it into a Word doc, or maybe you've printed out and written it by hand. And that's how you take this text here and actually turn it into an ad in Power Editor. Now, if we were ready to go with this, which we probably would be, I just come up here, and after every session in Power Editor, before anything were to go live, we just have to come up here and click on the Upload Changes green button. And what that'll do is take all this work that we've just done here, the campaign, the ad set, and the ads, and upload it directly to our ads account and start running those ads as soon as they are approved by Facebook. So there's a quick overview of how to create ads in the Facebook Power Editor.